something that it's a reason why you hear about, you know, the desal plant and what's going on with, you know, certain like companies that shall remain anonymous, like Cal-Am. And when you hear of them utilizing spots that are located anywhere near our aquifer, Ag Land Trust and these other, you know, property owners immediately, you know, get their hackles up and they say, wait a minute, if Cal-Am has a well in our aquifer, then we're now serving from the Salinas Valley, we're now serving the peninsula with our water. And they may have a right, not only a right to that water, but a right that trumps the ag use. So that's where, you know, that's where the danger lies. That I'm not saying that Cal-Am shouldn't have a right to more water, or the peninsula should have a right to more water. It's just that it has to be clearly vetted who gets what water in times of drought, things like that, before they're allowed to just stick a straw in our pool. So. Okay. When you have, go ahead and go forward 2 slides. That should be it. When you have prescriptive rights and you have other users and you do have a groundwater basin that is in overdraft, a lot of times that will lead to adjudication. And, you know, Farm Bureau and these other places don't really like to hear about adjudication, but because a lot of attorneys have to get involved, all of the, everyone who has a straw in that groundwater aquifer has to be a party to the lawsuit. And so basically the settlement, kind of impressive flag. Basically the settlement is between all of those that pull water out, they will have to ultimately settle. People are standing in line saying, well, I was here first as an appropriator, I'm here as a domestic user, I'm here as an ag user. And so while a court will not take that water and say, okay, ag, you know, vineyards or strawberries, you get nothing. And domestic users, you know, you're higher priority and you're going to get it all. They won't go through and say that. They'll actually do an equitable, you know, through what's called a water master. And it takes about 20 years, unfortunately, to go through this process. And maybe because they're having gone through this enough in other areas, I hope that they're getting more efficient with that. But that's basically, you know, where we are. We get a water master. They say who gets right to what water. You know, where you normally would have 100 acre-feet to use for a year, you may have to step back to 85. And so it just depends on what the water master determines. And then I pulled this slide. I basically found out I was going to talk about this. That's perfect. Last night at 6:30, and so I spoke down in Paso Robles a couple weeks ago on what's happening there. They have as part of the effects of the drought, they have imposed a moratorium on any new wells unless you show that you can save water, which is not easy to do. And so in going through that, I gave a presentation on water rights and what they're considering as a water district to come up with a solution. And I applaud the farmers and property owners and cities and the county here for getting proactive on this issue, because years ago we implemented zones 2A and 2B, and then we created 2C and the Salinas Valley Water Project. And by doing that, we've already got our governance, we've already got a good plan in place, the Salinas Valley Water Project, to beat back seawater intrusion and make sure that our aquifer is is healthy. There's always work to be done in that arena, but that's the difference between us and San Luis Obispo, Paso Robles. They figured that they had studies that said that we have enough water in the ground to suit us for the next 3,000 years. So it turned out that wasn't the case. So, any questions? Yeah.
Aaron, since the courts have ruled that municipalities have as much right to water as agriculture, you mentioned that having the Salinas Valley Water Project managed by the Water Resources Agency, it creates a governance. So does that mean that they don't need to adjudicate the valley, or that since they have established governance that adjudication wouldn't be necessary or even available as an option?
It's certainly available as an option because the governance, we pay tax dollars to go into Zone 2C, and that tax money is used to provide the funding for the CSIP and the Salinas Valley Water Project. So we're paying basically to not assure, but to help alleviate the problems with an overdrafted basin, and we also are paying to beat back seawater intrusion. That is the premise behind that tax. If we were to hit a 4th year of drought, it would be hard to say that we would be prevented from having adjudication. Legally, we've done, there is no reason adjudication cannot occur today. It's just that everybody has the ability to draw water. If we go into a 4th year of drought and we are beginning irrigation again in December for your spring crop, you're going to see you have the potential in a 4th year to see the impacts, and those with more shallow wells will not obviously, but they will feel the impact sooner than those with deeper wells. I mean, in an overdrafted basin, it's just that the top layer is going down, and there are other hydrological issues that happen. Water in the south part of the valley is different than water, the water levels, and the water in King City is 700 feet. The level of your land is 700 feet higher than it is, in Moss Landing, or whatever the figure is.
Let's thank Aaron for his presentation. You did a good job. We gained a lot when it comes to water. I mean, there's a lot that I didn't know, and it's an important part, very important part of agriculture. As we're getting the next speaker queued up, I want to do a quick introduction there as well. We, as I think all of us in farming, know the importance of microbiology. It's key to our existence. And I like to say that in farming, it's like medicine. More and more you see people looking at preventative medicine, forks over knives. The idea that we can control our ability to fight off disease and pests by a better diet. And I'd like to say the same thing with plants, agricultural crops. You can fend off disease and pests with an investment in your soil. You see a lot of growers moving more and more towards organic amendments in addition to conventional practices and fertilizers and such. One of the leading and fastest growing organizations here in the region, and really I would say nationally, is RTI. They're actually based out of Gilroy, and it's all really impressive that it's microbiological based agriculture that improves results. So Nick is here, and I also want to just acknowledge Kelsey, his research assistant, as she and her laptop have helped us quite a bit today. So anyhow, help me in welcoming Nick to the stage. Thank you.